It's not a physical move. More than that, it's a mental preparation for the family to navigate this transition, especially as we already talked about why you're moving, but there are also other things that they have to navigate, the things that comes as a package, as you already said. So that's the mental preparation that they have to be prepared first.
Dear viewers, the guest on the channel today is popular personality Mr. Avinash Pedhi. He was an NRI before, and after he came back to India for good, he is retired from his corporate life and he does things which is of interest to him. Like, he's investing into startups. He has a business in US. He has businesses in India. At the same time, he wants to give back to the NRI community. He started a channel called Desi Returns. Avinash Pedhi is very young, just 42 years. He spent 20 odd years in USA. He has worked in California, Ohio, and other places in USA. And he's been a very, very successful career person in the corporate life. He has specialized into robotics. Somehow he felt that it's enough and he has given up the corporate life and does things which gives him immense satisfaction. One of the things that he does is running this channel called Desi Return. Please do visit this channel. He comes with interviews of people who have come back to share their experience for the benefit of others. Welcome to this podcast, Avinash.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt. It's my pleasure to be on your show talking on behalf of the conversations that I had with so many families who are thinking about relocating back to India, what goes in their mind. So really looking forward to the discussion today.
Avinash, you have interviewed so many families. Your channel is also quite popular and you keep seeing and you just can't stop watching these episodes. My audience will reflect these views once they start seeing your channel. And I sincerely request every one of you to subscribe to his channel and listen to those stories of returning NRI. What makes these NRIs return? Life outside is good for a lot of people. They have a good career, money, living in great countries. But why still people want to come back?
That's a great question, Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt. So if you think about it, people return back to India for two different main reasons, right? Either it was an intentional decision that they want to be back, or they have a decision that was forced because of the completion of the assignment of the work that they have done, or due to the visa issues. But let's focus on an intentional decision why people want to come back. So after spending few years abroad, after gaining diverse perspective, earning, from a financial, learning different aspects from a career side, the idea of returning home always surfaces. If I kind of classify that into different categories, the first one is, from a parent's perspective, parents are getting age, they want to be close with them. So that's like, one of the primary factor why the thought of returning back to India comes to a lot of people. And also the other thing is the family and friends and the culture fabric. If you think about it in India, the spending of the holidays, time with the, close family, because that's how they have grown up. And, that's something they might miss a bit after spending few years. And these are some of the nostalgic moments that they remind. And it's the fabric of celebrating these holidays, festivals. The social fabric is different what you experience in India versus what they experience in abroad. So after that, this is another thing that comes to mind why they have some ideas or plans to move back to India. The other thing is, some people want to start their own career in an entrepreneur, like a startup. Because of some visa regulations, this is not something that's feasible while living abroad. And, time is of essence. So while they're still young, while they still have the energy, they might wanted to give a try with the startup. So which means it makes sense for them to be back where they have the flexibility to do their own passion or follow their own passion or do the startups. And the other thing along the same lines is the opportunities. If you think about the opportunities in India, like especially like 10 years back, which is completely different to what the opportunities available in terms of the salaries that the companies are paying, the kind of opportunities from not only services companies, but also product companies, also the startups. The ecosystem has changed. When they try to evaluate the opportunities in abroad versus what they have in India, at the same time, having the pros of living close with the family, no restrictions in terms of trying different jobs. That's another aspect that people start thinking about why they want to return back to India. The other things is like, kids. Some families prefer to upbring the kids in the same way that they were brought up, like, with the family, cousins, the joint family and so on. That culture fabric again is another play here. That's another reason why people start thinking about it. If you go a little bit further, especially for people who have worked abroad for quite some years, financially stable, and when they're looking at maybe retirement, this is another important aspect. Which place is much better than their home country, where the cost of living is much better than the Western countries or other abroad places. This is another segment of people who always, want to think about moving back. So there are several categories when you think about why people are considering to move back to India. I've just kind of touched on a broader strokes here.
NRIs could be living in different countries, but needless to say, a great many of them are Tilai Hindustan. So physically, you may be living outside. Those childhood memories, Mother India, these are things which they can't just give up. And I deal with NRIs day in India. I'll narrate my own stories of living in Dubai. I lived in Dubai between 2010 till recently. I still continue to live in Dubai. I always used to feel, I'll tell you my experience. When I come back to India, I will never book my return tickets, at least for one day in advance only. I'll book. Day I book my return ticket back to Dubai, I start becoming kind of a dull. I have to go back. That starts playing on my mind. But when I have to come back from Dubai, I'll do the reverse. I'll book a month in advance. And I'll start counting days from reverse. Oh, another 29 days to go, 25 days to go. You leave those moments. Oh, it's so nearby. Don't feel like working there. In India, in the last 13, 14 years, every time I wanted to go to Dubai, I would always book this ticket 1 or 2 days prior, because that gives me the feeling that my days are not starting to move outside of India. And there are a lot of people. There are people whom I know who started Sanskrit classes. They want to live an Indian life, even though they live outside of India. The compulsions of job, compulsions of earning money, compulsions of various corporate life, somebody gets transferred. But they try to create one India outside there also. Now, my question to you is, a lot of people come back as they have successfully come back. And this crowd is increasing. It is not something which is an odd case of somebody returning. It's not. Large chunk of people come. And it's just not somebody who has lost a job or struggles or kind of a thing. There are people in very good salaries, very good positions have come back. Our own clients are there. Based on your interaction with these clients, did they face any kind of a challenge while coming back? So the mind says, I want to go back. But it's not going to be as simple as that, or maybe some kind of a severance packages, or what I stand to lose. Is it a smooth transition? Many people have got citizenship to another country, like in the case of your US, now people have got a citizenship. Then you have the problem of dual taxation in India as well as in USA. What did you pick up from your conversations with all these people? What kind of challenges they had to face when they decided to come back, in the preparations as well as after they came back?
I think that's a great question, because this is a big decision for them to move back. And for someone who has been living abroad, they get accustomed to certain lifestyle, certain systems there abroad. So maybe I will kind of explain it in a broader scope here. If you think about abroad versus India, it's a developed country versus a developing country. So people have to acknowledge that first, and then, understand their lifestyle in India. That's the first thing that they have to. When I mention that, I think, people needs to be aware of, they can't expect the same kind of a library systems that are available in abroad, or the same kind of, parks or some of these infrastructure, right? So when I say, that's the priority, the expectation. So that's on an infrastructure side. When you look at maybe some of the aspects from a weather, air pollution, these are the things that outside your control. I'm just touching base on the things that are outside what you can influence, but how can you make sure that this is something that would work for you when you move back? So there are things that has to be considered, whether the pollution, whether it's the traffic, it's a lot of population, there are things which are different than what you have there. The other thing that I heard was customer service. Maybe, in the Western countries, the customer service or people service is much more structured and it's very streamlined. But when you come to India, it's a little bit different. I think the culture, the systems are different. So I think, it's not something that you can change by just coming here. You have to acknowledge and, prioritize which is more important. And it's the same thing. I think, the kids adjustment is the biggest thing that people always think. When the kids grow up to a certain age, it becomes much more challenging for them. And we have to be acknowledging that, because they were born and brought up and grown there. there. So they have to understand the dynamics of that, which is very critical in terms of at what age you are trying to move the kids from one place to the other place. And the other thing that people think about is on the career transitions. When we think on the challenges, right? It's the work-life balance that they can expect abroad versus how it is in India. But on that note, I think things are changing, things are evolving, but these are the things that people have to consider, or the challenges, what I heard, why they are holding back the decision to move back, right? I think these are the things that goes in their mind. From a financial perspective, yes, things have changed in terms of the salaries that you're getting, but it's not comparable. But again, you have to balance it out, because the cost of living, how much savings you can do, these are things is one aspect. But also to your point, like what you mentioned about the double taxation, how they should plan from a financial perspective, because you have assets abroad and, you're planning to make your primary residence at one place, and how do you plan on a financial side so that you are navigating not only the tax and loss of one country, you're talking about multiple countries when you become a citizenship. These are some of the things that people have to consider and go through it. As you've mentioned, you want to do, this is a big decision, but there are a lot of these things to navigate. At the end of the day, it depends on what's your key priority and why you're moving, and how you can navigate some of these things. These are not like things that you can't live with it. This is just more like what is more important and how you can work with everything together, is the way I would say.
See, any situation for that matter calls for sacrifices. When you leave India, there is a sacrifice of your community, your surroundings, your friends, your teachers, the whole life that you have lived right from your child days. That's a sacrifice. When you decide to come back, you have a sacrifice for money, the clean environment, and so many facilities that come with it. But that's a part and parcel of any decision you make. In life, you make any decision, there are two sides to it. There is something you gain, There is something you have to compromise on. कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना चाहता है. See, that's some song or something like that which goes on. That goes without saying. But at the same time, there is something like, people keep telling that, look, there is nothing like your own home. You can go to another palace, but the palace belongs to somebody else. Do you have a comfort in a palace, or do you have a comfort in that small home of yours, where it is my sweet home, where it is my people, where it is my people who stand by this? I and my son Tejas, we are regular travelers. We travel a lot. Many times we get into this matter telling that, look, it's very easy to come and say that these are all very developed countries, everything is on order. Well, let's go to Europe and you see the airports over there. What if they were to handle the crowds like the way they handle here in India? Can they cope up? They'll crash in no matter of time. Yeah, you can all boast about that. I've got a system, I've got everything and kind of a thing. Try to come to Mumbai airport or come to Bangalore airport and look at the crowd and let it be done in one of the European countries. They will literally crash down. But look at the efficiency which has come to the Bangalore airport today. Almost once in 2 months, I keep traveling here or there or outside of India or wherever it is. Bangalore airport clears even the immigration. In less than half an hour, 45 minutes, you are on a taxi. The similar story with Mumbai also. The similar story is seen in Delhi. There is scope for improvement. But we can't say that India is bad in every respect and we are not learning anything from that. That's not correct. So the benefits of that, good things have come because of a lower population. It has come because of you are somebody who is ahead of the curve. And if I see my own life from my childhood days, I'm 62 now, and things have changed so much. I was on the other day watching an episode with Rajat Sharma with Smita Prakash. He was telling there are about 6 or 8 or 10 children living in a 10 by 10 room. And he's a celebrity today, Rajat Sharma. And look at how the life has evolved. So it has happened for so many people. India has improved a great extent. So nobody is sitting outside as an NRI should make fun of them. I see many of the comments coming on my channel. Many people say that they go outside India and suddenly they become superhuman beings and start calling names to Indians and this country and all kind of a thing. But that's completely changing. I'm very, very sure. One toughest decision the returning NRIs have to make, especially if they have to come back in the middle of the career, is about the children. How do they cope up? What about the education system? What about the value system? What about the way of education? What did you pick up from your conversations with these families which have returned?
That's a great question. I think for a lot of the families, this is the most important thing that hangs in their mind, right? How will the kids adjust? A few things, let's talk through that. The first one is because when they're growing up abroad, they might not be fluent or able to read and write some of the, their mother tongue, the languages. That's one aspect. So when they move back, what curriculum would be appropriate for them to cope up and be able to be successful in that. The second one also is the friends, the ecosystem, because they got used to growing up in a certain structure, certain surroundings, how well they will be able to adjust in the new system, which is like, in India when they move back. Now, especially when they go to like a middle school or a high school, they have the flexibility of adapting kind of reduces a little bit because they have develop their own personality, their own way of life, and the friends, which makes it a little bit hard for them to adjust. So that's something that we have to acknowledge and be mindful about because when you're making a decision, you have to take the entire family into consideration. It's not only you, it's like the spouse, the kids, everybody, happy family, happy life, right? At the end of the day. So that's one other thing. And the main other thing that you mentioned is curriculum. I think in India, as you mentioned, it has come along a long way, compared to even like 10 years, 5 years. It's just coming, it's changing every day. There are so many curriculums, whether it's IB, IGSC, CBSC, so many options which are much more towards a global standard. The same education is available and you might have to do your research in selecting the schools and what's appropriate for your kids. And also when you think about after their education in the 18th, right? Like, plus 11 and 12, what are the options that they have and make a decision on that. The other thing that I would also say in terms of the kids cope up is in abroad, you have to take them around for different extracurricular activities, whether it's swimming, dance, or do things. But in India, there is an option, like when you're part of like some communities, you have these classes happening in the communities, which frees up a lot of time. That's one aspect. The other aspect also is in these communities, you have a group of kids and it's very secured. People go and play, you don't have to schedule like any play dates with other families. So there are a lot of positive things also like for the kids because they have their own social life, they can have their own friends. You're not wasting a lot of time just shuttling back and forth between different extracurricular things. But one thing to be mindful is more about the age at which you're moving and make sure they're prepared for that. Whether you're bringing them on a regular basis to India, they are, close to their grandparents, uncles and aunts, then nephews. So they are excited. They are still nimble enough to be able to, flexible to learn like new things, whether it's languages or, the system. That's the only thing that I would say. But other than that, there are so many positive things that they can enjoy in India and things have changed. I mean, it is not like as strict like as I was growing up, where if you didn't do your assignment, somebody is going to hit me. That's not the case. I mean, things have changed and evolved. So change your mindset in terms of what India is doing right now. Just explore, talk to the schools and understand it and see what's appropriate for your kid, which curriculum, and make a decision on that.
Avinash, you have interviewed so many persons who have come back to India after their stint as an NRI. A lot of people had a lot of kind of experiences. What experiences you picked up from them? See, something like, irritation. You're used to kind of a lifestyle, a corporate culture, a way of living. You're getting up in the morning, holidays, spending time with children, and kind of lifestyle kind of an issues. What kind of an irritation people went through during their acclimatization process back into India?
Definitely. So based on my discussion with, families who have returned back, some of the things that I have picked up, especially the common theme that I hear is the traffic is something that they have to, deal with. The other aspects are related to work culture, depending on whether it's a service industry, which is in the IT side. The work culture that they have experienced abroad versus what to expect or what they have expected here. But things have evolved, things have changed. It is much better, but these are some of the things that I have heard from my discussions. The other aspects are related to kids adjustment. Again, it also goes back to their planning, when they're moving and what's happening. People who became citizens abroad, they have to navigate the tax laws of not only one country like India, but also the other countries. It is complex, and it's something that they can work with a financial planner who can navigate them, because they have to report at both countries and maintain books and so on. This is another thing that they have to deal with. Not like a major challenge, but these are some of the things that they have to do in addition because of the move. The other aspects are related to customer service is another thing that I heard. Some of the infrastructure is another thing that I heard, like, where they have to deal with it. But at the end of the day, it's why is the most important thing, why they decided to move, and what is the primary reason that they returned back to India. And that drives everything, because there is no perfect place anywhere in the world. You have to decide what is more important and how you can navigate the other parts of it that comes as a package. So these are some of the things in general, what I heard with my discussions with the returnees. And everybody's experience is different, but this is on a broad stroke of some of the nuances or some of the things that they have to deal with after returning back to India.
If an NRI has come to India with his wish that I love life here, I want to stay closer to my family, all the irritations they went through will slip into an oblivion, and they manage it as a cost which will come along with it. But if you have come out of compulsion, the spouse doesn't like that foreign country, you lost job or some other issues which force you to come back to NRI, then it can work as an irritation. It's as simple as that. In life, when you have to get something, you have to compromise something else elsewhere as well. So that's a give and take. That's one cannot avoid. But what I feel is, but if people are prepared a little bit for their eventual transformation back into India, the journey could be much smoother. Mentally, you are prepared, and you could be preparing very well with your discussions with financial planner, chartered accountant, CPAs, or the concerned professionals wherever you need expertise on. That becomes easier. From your experience, what message you have for the NRI community whenever they decide to come back to India? What kind of a preparation, if they make, the journey would become much smoother?
Yeah, it's a very important and a great question. I think, as you said, a failing to prepare makes you fail in the process. So a little bit of preparation takes it a long way for the successful transition. So let's talk on few of these categories. Before I get started, I just want to touch, it's not a physical move. More than that, it's a mental preparation for the family to navigate this transition, especially as we already talked about why you're moving, but there are also other things that they have to navigate, the things that comes as a package, as you already said. So that's the mental preparation that they have to be prepared first. Let's talk some of the other practical things. Career transition. Are they planning to move as an internal transfer from their current company to the office or the location that they have in India? This definitely would help in a smooth transition. Or are they planning to change the roles? Like, how are they planning on a career perspective? Kids, what kind of curriculum are they planning to select for the kids? And what schools they want to put in. The other important thing also is like which city they want to move back. Are they going back to the same hometown that they grew up, or they want to move to another city which is close to the family, which is better for their career opportunities? How do they choose where they want to move back in India itself? Financial planning, because they have assets in abroad. Are they planning to continue the assets there abroad, or what they want to do with the pension funds that they have, whether they want to bring the entire money back to India? There are a lot of details that needs to be handled from a financial perspective. Again, I think it's definitely something worth talking to a financial expert to understand what's the best way to navigate in their unique case, because everybody's situation is different. There is also things from a logistics perspective, like what they want to do with their house that they have, whether they want to sell it or they want to rent it out. Also, like what about the things that they want to move back, what they wanted to purchase there. There are, I think, a lot of things definitely from different categories, whether it's in the logistics side, career, financial planning, and so on. There is a checklist that we have published on the Desi Return that they can go through, especially when they're planning to move back to India. That's one thing. And the other one is, especially a lot of families who have done, when you talk to them, when you understand their experiences, that helps you in preparing better for your transition. So that's my suggestion. And this is one last tidbit from my perspective, talking to a few of these families. If you have the flexibility to work remotely, and if you can, before making a big move, try to spend a couple of months in India, not as a visitor, actually as a resident. you can actually rent out a furnished apartment or a house and try to live as a resident where you are getting things done as a resident. That gives you a good flavor of the life that you can expect in India, and that can also help you in making the appropriate decision. So as you said, preparation is the key for a smooth transition. And there are so many things that they can be prepared better and work with some experts in some of the categories to help them for a smooth transition.
Avinash, thank you for all these inputs, and you over the months you have acquired so much of insights into the life of returning Desis, and it has become an encyclopedia today. And continue to do the good work, continue to talk to the people who are returning, bit of threads from them, how the learnings of these people who have already returned can make the journey for the prospective NRIs who have an intention to come back to India a journey very smooth, enjoyable, and finally welcome back home to all of them. Thank you very much for your insights. I request the audience to please subscribe to the Desi Returns channel. Worthwhile interviews for you to log on to. Lots of insights there. And I wish you all the best, Avinash. Thank you very much for your time to come on my show. I keep troubling you. I keep calling you once in a while so that my audience, as well as your audience, will keep getting enriched with what we have to offer for each other's audience. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present and share some of the discussions that I had. And it would be my pleasure to be back on the channel again. Thank you all for joining us on this insightful journey of Desi Return. If you enjoyed this episode and want to explore more stories and expert advice, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and experiences. By the way, check out the links in the description below for our Facebook group and social media for updates and engaging discussions, as well as connecting with fellow Desi Returners. Thank you once again, and until next time, may your Desi Return journey be filled with joy, growth, and endless possibilities.